Hey, you Potter Than Hell junkies. This is Carl Kennedy from the Rods in Kennedy. You're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with the metal encyclopedias themselves, Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan on the keyboards. Crank it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello there, Potter Than Hellions. Welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host and keyboard player this week, and I am joined actually live this week by
6 feet distance, BB.
That's true. We're not rocking the masks, but we do work together. So we work in the same firehouse. So it's not a big deal for us guys. And we have two guests, one returning guest and one Potter Than Hell virgin, we'll say, this week. And we have returning guest Dave Borosky.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be back on the show, especially when we're discussing one of my favorites about Ronnie James Dio.
Awesome. And we have a first-time guest here, our awesome DJ from our local rock radio station, Mark Hoover. How are you, Hoover?
I'm doing all right, man. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
All right. Yeah, we're glad. We've been trying to get together with Hoover for a long time, and it finally gelled up. So before we get going, Dave, I know you guys you have your band Blue London, so probably not much going on there, right?
No, there's really not much at all. Stagnant. Everybody, learning stuff, trying to keep busy, trying to keep from throwing guitar picks and amps at each other, at least in my household. Trying to bide the time and looking forward to getting back out there. Hopefully when everything calms down, it'll be a new world and people get out there and start enjoying the nightlife again. That's definitely out there in this area. Yeah,
absolutely. How about you, Hoover? You got a ton of stuff going on.
I just been working from home since March 13th, so we're looking at it's going on 2 months next week already. Being stuck at home, just listening to a lot of music. I'm in my office here at home, which was never an office. It was like my man cave. Probably got about 11,000 compact discs in here, and I've been trying to do like an album or two a day, just trying to keep my sanity.
Awesome, very cool. Yeah, it's kind of been the same thing here at my house. Just listen to a ton of stuff, spinning some vinyl, digging back into my CD collection. How about you, BB?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Spinning a couple records and looking to get some new records and looking on eBay and Amazon and just trying to expand what I used to have in cassettes and still have in CDs. Try to just extend that to a vinyl collection and call it a man cave.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're talking about CDs and records, we'll do what we usually do. Hoover, what are you listening to these days besides when you're spinning stuff on Rock 107?
Actually, believe it or not, the last week I've been rolling through the CCR catalog.
Oh, cool.
And over the weekend, I did the entire Doors catalog as I was washing the car. And right before that, when I was cleaning the garage, there's Quiet Riot released their Us Festival concert on CD a couple years ago. It's a CD-DVD combo pack. And I had that CD going on in the garage.
Oh, that's cool. You listen to the whole Doors collection washing your car? How fucking big is your car?
Well, I got an F-150. It took about 4 hours to clean. But you got to remember, all those albums are like 35, 40 minutes apiece. So
that's true. Quick. That's true, for sure. Very cool. Dave, how about you? What do you got going?
Me personally, I'm going old school as well. I've been on a major Kansas kick of late. Usually throughout the days, or even if I'm working on the computer doing stuff for school, I'll go through at least up through the 80s, up and through Power, up and through the spirit of things. But right now, my big jam has been Kansas's debut from '74. It's just a great masterpiece. I mean, Steve Walsh, Kerry Livgren still at their best. Robbie Steinhardt. It's just a great piece of work. So many good songs on it. And the best thing about listening to those old tunes is you have to understand, back recording in the 70s, it really makes you appreciate. These guys are playing these 6, 7, 9-minute songs. They're doing them live in the studio. So that gives, for me at least, a greater appreciation, especially with them and all the progression change and the chord changes and how they move tempo around. It's just been, I could just listen to that all day long. So that's been my jam, Kansas's debut album from '74.
Oh, that's some good stuff there.
Yeah, that's great. I was actually a couple weeks ago. I bought. Well, no, I had the box set a while ago when they did the Leftoverture Live and Beyond. Just a fantastic. They do Leftoverture, the whole thing, and they do some deep tracks and stuff like that. Really cool. Love it. And I have to really thank Dave for really kind of pushing me in the direction of Kansas, because I was always kind of the carry on my wayward son, point of no return kind of guy. But then like he kind of talked about them so much, I really got into them, and I took BC and Dylan to see them, and they were just blown away. And then my wife and I went to see them like 2 years ago again. Just a fantastic band, like so many great songs, excellent.
Yeah, a better appreciation, especially when you see them live and the things that they do. They're just great musicians.
Yeah, just absolutely amazing.
You definitely have to check out that Kansas Miracles Out of Nowhere documentary. That thing's fantastic.
Well, I just watched it 2 days ago, as a matter of fact. It is fantastic. It's well worth it.
What is that on?
Netflix, I think, has it. It's on, the Fire Stick. You can get it.
Okay.
I'm old school. I still watch it on DVD.
Cool. I didn't even know that was out there. I'll have to check that out. What do you got going, BB?
Probably 2 days ago. I think it was Sunday. So, yeah, 2 days ago. Since it was almost one of the M3 weekends, the M3 Facebook page was throwing up clips of songs from bands, the main stage, the forest stage, and they threw up Bang Tango. And I'm like, oh my god, I remember the Bang Tango on that small stage in the forest. They were so freaking good, and there's maybe 300 people in the stand there, if that. So it made me whip out their album from 2011, Pistol Whipped in the Bible Belt. And I even think we probably rocked this album on the way home from M3. I probably got it down there. But so many awesome good songs on there. Dick in the System, Suck It Up. What's another one? I think Bring On the World's another good one. But just a great atmosphere that we're missing, because we were probably... This was the weekend.
No, it would have been last weekend.
Last weekend?
Last weekend would have been M3. Last weekend...
Don't get mad at him. Nobody knows what day of the week it is.
No, that's true. That's true, too, yeah. And it's weird, because it's very true, because the schedule that we work at the firehouse, you work one day, 24 hours, you're off 2 days, so the days are totally fucking messed up now. Yeah, M3, last week would have been, we would have seen Accept at Penn's Peak, we would have seen Tool at the arena, and then M3 was last weekend as well. So we got fucking triple bashed in the head by concerts we would have enjoyed last week. So and for me, I've been listening to back on the Night Ranger kick a little bit. Rocked out Midnight Madness last night. Love that album. I think it's fantastic. Just a great band. And actually, our buddies at the I Love It Loudcast, Pete and Vinny, they did a Cheap Trick episode last week, and I listened to that, and so they kind of pushed me in the direction. I got back into checking out Cheap Trick Silver, double live album that they put out. I think it was 2004. There's Jesus Christ, there's almost 40 songs on this. It's just amazing. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's got everything from first album up to their newer stuff at that point. Absolutely fantastic. So that's what we're listening to out there, guys. So let us know out there if you guys want us to check anything out. So we got CCR and the Doors and Quiet Riot Us Festival for Hoover. We have Dave is rocking back into Kansas. Specifically, the first album came out in '74, self-titled. BB's been rocking some Bang Tango, Pistol Whipped in the Bible Belt, right?
Yes, sir.
And then I got some Night Ranger and some Cheap Trick going. So we've been kind of talking about people checking out different guys and bands and artists and stuff doing stuff live on YouTube. Dave, have you been checking anything out like that?
YouTube, for me, I've been going back, really, I'm on a Dio kick too, so every now and again, that's where I'll go watch some live stuff.
Or Facebook too, I mean.
Pardon me?
Or Facebook as well, I meant to say.
No, nothing on Facebook for me. I've not been doing much Facebook. I'm actually trying to stay off Facebook as much as I possibly can these days.
That's not a bad thing. Yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were saying you're checking Dio out on YouTube, though.
Actually, I was intrigued by your Alice Cooper tribute. When I saw that, when you had texted me that, I just thought, boy, I really haven't been listening to Alice Cooper as much as I probably should. So I've been trying to get into that, and I wasn't particularly a big Alice Cooper fan growing up, so I'm trying to delve in and looking for stuff to watch in that regard. So that's been really my thing, just snooping for stuff to watch, and then a lot of times it segues you into something else that you find and catches your eye or catches your ear. But really, I've been back on Dio again.
Excellent. How about you, Hoover?
See, I'm waiting to get back on a Dio kick. Back in April, God, I actually ordered it untraditionally. I wanted to get a free collection, but Dio studio album, the 96 to 2004 remastered reissues, they came out early April, and which made me think about it. I'm like, I put the order in with the record label with this and still haven't gotten it yet in the mail, unless they're sitting on my desk at work, which I haven't been at since the middle of March. But I was actually waiting for them to come in and then really dive into Dio with all the extended and bonus disc and stuff on there.
Yeah, those are. I have them all now, with the exception of I just didn't get Magica yet, and actually Master of the Moon should be arriving within the next couple of days. But I have them all, and they're great. I got the ones on vinyl, but if you get the Mark, did you get the CDs or did you get the vinyl?
I always get CDs. I like superior sound quality.
Okay, yeah, and because there's a ton of bonus material on the CDs, a lot of live stuff too.
Well, I'm looking at the Angry Machines one, which is the one I really want to get a hold of. It has an entire show on there, which is awesome. It's much like the Inferno album. It's basically almost the same set list as the Inferno album.
Yeah. Were you, Dave and Hoover, were you guys at the show at Tinks for that tour?
I was, and I was talking to Ryan the other day. I had that on bootleg at the radio station. A listener gave it to me about 10 years ago. I listened to it about 15 times at work, and it kind of went into like my private stack in my office at work, and I forgot about it. And recently I moved offices and I found it. I'm like, oh, I got this, and this was pre-iPod when I got it. I'm like, I got to take that home and rip that and throw that on my iPod so I have it. And tell my list of things to do. Some of the things I have to grab when I get back to the radio station.
Awesome. Dave, were you at that show?
I was not. What? I may have been in my Beatles mode back then. My Jethro Tull and Beatles mode, so I may have missed it because I was working in Scranton at that time too.
Yeah, that was a great show. You were there with us, weren't you, Billy?
Yeah. That was in '97.
Yeah,
I would have been there. I used to work right on Adams Ave there. That was used to be able to go out during like your lunchtime there, and I remember seeing the Guar guys, for example. You'd see the bus and you'd see costumes right on Linden Ave there in the middle of the street. It used to be neat.
Cool, very cool. How about you, BB? What are you checking out?
I know I already brought his name up last week, but I have to give props to Anthony Corder from Tora Tora. He's out on his back deck, strumming a song, and all of a sudden, Tennessee gets walloped with this humongous hail, wind, and rainstorm. So he's playing the very last note until you see like him getting belted with hail.
No shit.
5 minutes later, he's back in his house. It seems like the power went out, and he's recording the rest of the song he did on his phone.
No
he
shit.
finished the song and everything. I'm like, now that's a fucking musician.
Wow.
But like that, and David Coverdale's doing some shit, and I'm still loving all the Bruce Kulick stuff that he's doing. But it seems like more and more bands, like the Circle's starting to do some stuff. They're doing like and it just seems like every day it seems like another band. Metallica just did something. It just more and more. It's turning into like the normal now.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been checking out the Bruce Kulick stuff as well. Still the Ryan Spencer Cook stuff with. He's been doing a lot of Hair of the Dog stuff. He's been talking about and strumming along, doing some songs from that. And Dave and Hoover, I got to tell you, between Dave and Chris Jankowskis, you guys got me rocking into Tool in that Danny Carey video of him doing Numa live. I swear to God, I must have watched that 100 times already. I watch it probably at least once a day. And my youngest son, Carson's telling me, he's like, there's something wrong with you. Like, every time I turn around, you listen to that. I'm just fascinated by just the amazing drumming that this guy does. And I literally watched it about an hour ago again. So
tremendous, too. I mean, I had tickets for the May 1st show as well. I am truly bummed. I really wanted to see. My son was lucky enough to see them. I was actually going with him again this past Friday would have been. But he said they pretty much did the whole album, coming out right from the start with Fear Inoculum all the way through, which was a really nice, just the musicianship. Once you listen to those guys, really, it's tough to get back into from a time signature or anybody else. They really got it down.
Yeah, I actually was lucky enough to see him in October down in Philadelphia, but also had tickets for the May show, which was this past Friday. Posted a lot of cool stuff on Friday night. I was kind of depressed drinking beer. I'm like, I should be seeing Tool right now.
Well, hopefully they'll come back around after this all settles down and we'll get the opportunity to get it again. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So that's if you guys have anything you want us to check out online, any artists or something doing something crazy or different, let us know. We'll talk about it here on the podcast. So we kind of segued into this. I'm talking to little Dio here, so let's get into it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue our I don't know if you want to call it a series, our deep track shows here. We did I think the first one was Wasp, I think, and so I figure let's do a little Dio. And I've been, dabbling here and there, especially with the reissues coming out and stuff like that. So Dylan bowed out this week because he's not really a huge Dio guy. BC was supposed to be with us this week, but he had a problem at his mom's house. Nothing major. No one's sick or dying or anything, but just one of them pain in the ass things that happen. It's not easy raising parents, BB.
No, not at all.
Not.
Believe me.
Yeah. So, but I have BC's list, so I'm going to read his list as we go along here. So we decided to. What we'll do is each guy, BB will talk about him and Dave are going to go on the first half of the show. They're going to read their lists, and then Hoover and I will talk about, just pick one or two of their songs that you liked, and you can talk about it a little bit. And then Dave and BB, you could, riff on your other guys' list there. So we're not going to go exactly alphabetical order. We're going to let our guests go first. Okay. So Dave, what do you got first on your list here? Just read your list.
For me, I'm going to put them in the order as far as the whole anthology of Dio, because, he starts it really in the late 50s with a lot of the stuff that he was doing just out of high school, up in, Cortland, New York. So I have Blue Days, Blue Nights, which he did with Ronnie Dio and the Prophets, kind of doo-woppy stuff. Dixie Lee Junction, that he had done with Elf. Catch the Rainbow off of Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. Gates of Babylon off of Long Live Rock and Roll, Voodoo, which is one of his Sabbath pieces, and Gypsy off of Holy Diver. Now, do you want me to just read them, or do you want me to go into something?
You can just talk about your songs.
Okay. Well, for me, again, if it's the whole thing, if we're going deep tracks on Dio, it's really interesting. I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to listen to the stuff like Ronnie Dio and the Red Caps and stuff that he was doing in 63, 61 and stuff like that. But just that voice, when you hear it on that stuff, singing like I Left My Heart in San Francisco and Great Balls of Fire, the Jerry Lee Lewis tunes and stuff like that. Just really killer stuff. Somebody who was a trumpet player back then, doing all that kind of stuff. It's just a great piece of old work and really makes you appreciate the metamorphosis, if you will, of Dio, how he goes from singing that to 15 years later, he's belting out Gypsy. Or he's belting out Gates of Babylon or anything that he does that he's doing now with Rainbow. Dixie Lee Junction, that's another that's an Elf piece that he does. And the nice thing on that is even with that most of the Elf stuff he does on their two albums, he's playing bass on that stuff as well, playing and singing. The live show, it's just a great piece of work that really shows that crooning. There's quite a difference between Dio stuff that he does outside of Dio, the super band, and Dio that he does with Elf, with Rainbow, with Sabbath. How when he does those slower songs, he has such a nice melodic voice. It's not like the angry Dio you hear towards the anything that he's doing, really Holy Diver and a lot of his solo stuff, which really makes you appreciate his anthology of range that he has. Number 3, Catch the Rainbow for me. I can remember going down that Catch the Rainbow off of Richie Blackmore's Rainbow is my first experience with Ronnie James Dio. I can remember going down. I was probably a freshman in high school, and we had gone down. I snuck in with a car ride with some older guys, and we had gone to the Electric Mine Shaft, if you can remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Down in downtown Scranton, and used to be able to find great stuff there. And it was really the album cover, the Purple Castle and stuff that caught my eye. And I got it, and man was down, but the Rainbow, that's just to me, it's a signature song of that sweetness of Dio's voice that he also has, as well as that those powers and those attacks that he does when he really bears down. Just a classic one for me. One of my favorites because he sings so sweet on it. Gates of Babylon. Whenever I get in a Dio mode, again, we're going deep tracks here, so whenever I get in a Dio mode, Long Live Rock and Roll is usually the first one that comes out, and it's usually Gates of Babylon. It's a great piece. He and Blackmore work so well together, and I think too that album, probably this one with Rainbow Rising, to me, for Dio as a singer-songwriter, that's the album that really introduces that fantasy, that Dungeons and Dragons, that sword play, rock and roll, where he comes in, that Dio really starting to define his style as a songwriter and singer. So those two albums, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow and Long Live Rock and Roll, really hit it for me, where Dio becomes Dio of who he is as a rock singer. Number 5 for me, Voodoo, which to me, I could have jumped into something off of Heaven and Hell because it's a great album, but to me, if we're going deep tracks, I think really everything's a killer off of Heaven and Hell. I don't think there is for me, but off of Mob Rules is definitely Voodoo. It's just a killer. The delay that he has, the songwriting, it's just top notch. It's one of my favorites on that album. And then for me, the last one is Gypsy. I can remember my mother walking in listening to that when I was a teenager when it had first come out, and she was not happy. That's it went from John Denver to this. She was able to put up with Bon Scott, but this was a little different for her. But it was just that to me, Gypsy is the quintessential, that first line in that song. That the attack. He's so I guess the vocal term maybe centered in how he attacks it, and just brings on that first belt that just drives you right into the song. It's just a really great piece of singing on his part. And they are my 6.
Cool, very cool songs. All right, BB, what's your list?
Boy, you're really throwing a curveball today, aren't you?
Why aren't you next?
Well, you said the two guests were going.
No. On the guest is going to go on the. Hoover's going to go first on the second part.
Okay. Wait.
That's probably what I said, but
that's why I put my shit away. No, Dylan can cut that out.
No, he won't.
All right. Dio for me. I was probably 12 years old, and my best friend's older brother was playing this record, and he's going, "Oh, this is the guy that used to sing in Black Sabbath," and the only person at that time that I knew sang in Black Sabbath was Ozzy. He'll be in 12 years old. But for me, it's always one of those last in line albums. Always my go-to, my first love. Gotta have last in line for me. But I'm gonna kind of go in order with my list. I'm gonna go back to 1976 with Rainbow Rising, with the song Starstruck. And it's always one of those songs that are kind of hidden in that album. It's always the Stargazer. That's always the forefront. It seems like Starstruck never got like the love that it always deserves, because man, oh man, Cozy Powell's drum sound on that album, just let alone the song, is so out front. It's so amazing. You almost can't even recognize Ronnie's young vocals with this song. And then especially at the end when he's screaming, bad luck, look back at me, just gives you like chills. It's really, really a great vocal range that he has on that album. Fantastic album. In the cover, that's cover. Everybody talks about the cover from back in the day. And then we're going to go back to 1990, all the way up to 1990, from the Lock Up the Wolves album. I picked the song Walk on Water. Production's a little low on this, I noticed, especially on Apple Music when I made everybody's playlists. It seemed like this one was a little bit lower, so I'm not sure if it was just Apple's doing, or, maybe, I'm sure Hoover can kind of cover me on this one with the CD production. It may be a little bit better. But how can you not love Rowan Robinson starting out with Dio being 17 years old? Imagine being hired by Ronnie James Dio playing guitar, 17 years old. Then 2 years later, when he's 19, Lock of the Wolves come up. But once again, Walk on Water, the ripping solo in the middle of the song, and then the outro solo is amazing. And then once again, Ronnie's voice, his vocals are just stinking amazing. Then we're going to go 1992 with the Black Sabbath off of Dehumanizer. The song is I. Just like the first line says, I am angered. This song is definitely angry. Love this song. One of those songs that just really, really pumps you up. It's a fast tempo throughout the song. A lot of good songs on that album too. It's kind of like one of those songs that are hidden from Black Sabbath's, catalog. But this is definitely one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums for sure. Then the next one, we're going to go to 2002, but actually it's a 2019 remaster that Hoover was already talking about how the newer albums of Dio are being reissued. This is I Speed the Night. It's a live version, off of Last in Line, but Doug Aldridge, man, oh man, I think it's probably somewhere on the Evil or Divine Tour DVD, but they may have cut it up. They may not have that on there, but I know that's right around 2002. But a fantastic song. Love Dio's live stuff. He just knows how to, get the crowd going. A little bit of talking here and there in between the songs aren't too bad. But love Dio live stuff, and I'm glad they threw some of that live stuff on that Killing the Dragon album. And then we go 2009 off of Heaven and Hell's The Devil You Know, Eating the Cannibals. Wanted to pick this one. Tony Iommi's playing on this. I don't know if it's the crazy heavy grinding distortion that he has, but the tone of his guitar is so cool. And it's funny how Dave said before how Ronnie likes to talk about, the Dungeons and Dragons. And Eating the Cannibals, he told Rolling Stone that this is the song, it's about the government. It's a way of saying politicians are screwing us, so we're going to eat them. so that was a kind of funny little pun I found. And then, of course, you have to end your list with the Rods song off of the Vengeance album from 2011, The Code. It is maybe the last or one of the last songs that Ronnie James Dio recorded. And of course, he probably got on this because David Feinstein, Ronnie James Dio is David Feinstein's cousin from Elf that David played on Elf's first album. And just a great sounding song. It's just amazing, the song. These guys are like Rush, like the Rods being a three-piece band. David, Carl, and Gary and our good friend Carl Kennedy on drums. Been on the show a couple times. He's a great friend, and he always plugs the podcast. The sound that they make is so cool and so different, and I think that's one of the reasons why they never really got the recognition. They're huge in Europe, and people don't even know who the Rods are in Carbondale, and Carl lives 2 blocks down the road. But the very haunting thing about this song at the very end, and it's just crazy, thinking of this. But there's like a march, there's like a marching tone to the end of the song, and it's almost like Dio's being carried off in a way because this will be the last song that the legend will ever record, and it's just, I thought it was kind of a nice little tribute to end my list.
All right, very cool. Hoover, what do you think of these guys' lists?
So far, so good. I tell you what, I don't have anything as deep as you guys on the list, and I'll explain that when I get to mine. But we're talking about the earlier doo-wop stuff. It's okay stuff. I have it, much like a album collector I am. You buy it just because you have to have it. Like, I have to support Dio. I love Dio. I have to have everything he's ever recorded. So that's the reason why I have that early stuff as much as I possibly have been able to find over the years in my collection, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely.
It's like owning Chinese democracy. It's,
you just gotta have it.
You're not going to listen to it, but you have to have it to complete your collection.
That is true.
Well said.
All right. Very cool. I'm gonna I'll talk about Dave's list real quick here. I listened to the older stuff like the Ronnie Dio and the Prophet stuff. I don't own any of it, but I went did a little YouTube dive on it. It's so crazy how he can perform those songs. I'm like, holy shit, they sound, you know it's him, but you're like, how can this be the guy that's singing like Lost in Light? You know what I mean? Like it just kind of set me back a little bit, and you got the the horns and all that shit playing. It's really cool. Gypsy, friggin' awesome. Just a great song. Gates of Babylon, freaking excellent. And Voodoo, one of my ultimate favorite Black Sabbath songs of Dio era. And I've said it before, I like the Dio era Sabbath stuff better than the Ozzy stuff. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but I would rather the Dio era Sabbath, because that's when I started listening to them. Go ahead, Dave.
There's something about Dio. I don't know when he gets in the studio with those guys, if they were able to just poke the bear, but he sounds different singing with Sabbath than he does by himself with anybody else. They must do something, because he pushes and he always sounds top notch. There's something about it when he's singing with Sabbath.
Yeah, definitely. He has that. I don't know if it's like a more gruffness to his voice when he sings with those guys, but it's definitely a different delivery from when he's does the Rainbow stuff or his own stuff. Definitely, for sure.
Right, when he comes back with the Humanizer, it's 10 years later, 9 years later, and he sounds better than he does. I mean, his voice-wise, at least, I think it's more powerful than it is on Holy Diver. It's just him in the studio with those guys. It's magical. It really is.
You guys, I don't know if you know how big of an Ozzy freak I am. He's one of my favorite of all times. But my favorite Black Sabbath album is Heaven and Hell.
It is dynamite.
I love it. I got that, I think, like 1981, like Christmas Eve, I bought it or something like that, and I was just like blown away by it. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Oh, BB's list. Starstruck from Rising, great. Eating the Cannibals from Heaven and Hell, just kick ass. Walk on Water is great. Ice Speed at Night, the live version with Doug Oliver's playing is just kick ass. And I actually have a story about the Code. Apparently, it was the last song that Ronnie James Dio ever recorded, and BC and I went up to New York in September, I believe. We interviewed David Feinstein, which is Ronnie James Dio's first cousin, and Carl Kennedy from the Rods. And we were in their practice area / studio. And I actually stood on the very spot in the very room where Ronnie sang the vocals for the Code.
Nice.
Talk about having chills run up and down your spine. It was crazy. Because they have it. It's not a studio anymore, but they have it broken up into like a guitar workshop and then like kind of a memorabilia type place. And it's got the the glass window where where the soundboard would be, and you could see where the guys would sing and stuff like that. And David was telling us that when they asked Ronnie to sing on that song, he came up and they gave him the lyrics and the music, and they gave him a cassette and a boombox to practice. They dropped him off at the hotel. He never practiced the song. They played it. He sang it in one take on the Code. And Dave was just like, yeah, he came in, okay, I got it, no problem, boom, belted it out, and that was it, one take. But it was just to actually stand where he stood and sing any song, let alone it be the last song that he ever recorded, was just unbelievable. I got freaking chills right now just talking about it. Just so cool. Just like ask BB, I'm fucking smiling ear to ear awesome. Here. It's freaking crazy. And because I remember when BC and I were coming home after that thing, and it was an awesome interview, but we were like, holy shit, can you believe we were fucking where Dio was? And I made sure that we got our pictures taken right where he sang. So it was just so freaking cool just to be there and have that experience and talk with those guys, and just absolutely phenomenal. So BB, what do you think about Dave's list?
Yeah, great list. Gypsy, as always. Holy Diver, great album. Where it started it all in the Dio solo era. There's just that beginning scream in Gypsy is so cool. But what really got me was the Dixie Lee Junction. And I think back in the day when I started listening to Dio and you heard this band Elf and you hear them, you're like, nah, that's not. I don't want to hear it. horrible, I don't want to listen to it. But now that I'm older and I'll actually sit down and listen to it, musically, man, oh man, it's good. It's probably nothing that I would go out and, buy or anything, but just to listen to it and have a better aspect of liking it.
You're not going to get an elf tattoo?
No, I guess not. Right. But Dave, definitely a great list.
Thank you. What the funky thing is, even on Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, it's I think it's Craig Gruber and Gary Driscoll, who's on drums for Elf. They're playing on Richie Blackmore's album, and he ends up sacking them and brings in Jimmy Bain and Cozy Powell. But those guys were moving with Dio when Blackmore leaves Deep Purple and he's doing his own thing.
Oh, come on. Blackmore never fired anybody.
No.
He always had a consistent lineup.
Yeah, for sure. He just had a revolving door in the studio, I guess. For sure. All right, Dave, what do you think of BB's list?
I love it. Especially, off of Rainbow Rising. Starstruck, I agree. It does not get the credit it deserves because everybody's always looking at some of the other more popular tunes, but that's what makes it a deep track. That's what makes it so nice. The live stuff, I always love when guys go to live stuff. I know Steve, for example, your brother, when I'm out with him, he only listens to live stuff. And it's for that reason, because one thing I could say about all the stuff you listen to Dio, he never sounds bad live. He never dogs something. Sometimes you hear certain bands that will that you'll see live or hear live, and they don't go to that high note, and they don't. He doesn't do that. 99% of the time, he's always pushing it. He always gives that show, and that's what makes it so great. Dakota, I was thinking as soon as I heard I have a story as well about Dakota. My daughter was given a copy that she had played a gig with Carl Kennedy, and he gave her a copy of that a handful of years ago, and we were listening to it at the house, and I think the code's probably midway through the album. And by the time it got there, as soon as those vocals came on, I looked at my daughter. I said, "That's Dio on that album." I never looked at it, but you could just tell that Dio. It's something about it. It's just something about him. And always with the Black Sabbath, Dehumanizer, great album, great comeback for them. It's a shame he didn't do more stuff with those guys. But great list, killer list.
Yeah, and the code is the fifth song on the Vengeance album from the Rods.
Yeah. It's way down, I believe. Huh?
Yeah, it is. All right, very cool. There we have Dave's list and BB's list, and we gave him our lowdown on it. So what we're going to do is what we normally do. We're going to do a song playing Into the Gym. And speaking of Carl Kennedy, we are going to play a song from his upcoming album. And when you guys hear this, it will already be out for release digitally. And the album's called Warrior. And Carl gave me an advance copy of this album weeks and weeks ago, and it circulated between myself and the guys on the podcast here. Before we get into it, what'd you think about it, BB?
It's amazing. Whoever this singer is that he has, spot on. Very, very good for your eardrums. Like the first note out of his mouth, you're like, whoa, because it's always it's great to always have like a good guitar player or something, but you need that vocal to grab that back of your eardrum, and let me tell you, that guy's vocals are amazing.
Yeah, and the whole album is fantastic, and the thing is too, the guy that is singing on the new Kennedy album, he's the new singer for the Rods as well. So the Rods is now a 4-piece band. So it's going to be very interesting, and I've heard him sing, I think, Hurricane, and wow, just like crazy. And Gary is no longer in the Rods, and there's a new bass player in there as well. But I can't wait till you guys hear this album. But before you do, I'm going to play the song Warrior, and that is the title track from the new album from Kennedy. So I'll play it away, Dylan.
Dedicated warriors, we fought the valiant fight.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the Warrior song from the new Kennedy album that is out now digitally as we speak, and the hard copy will be out on June 10th, so definitely check that out. Album absolutely freaking rocks, kicks ass. So we're going to do our hidden gems now. We are going to let our newbie Hoover go. So what do you got for us, my friend?
No, all right, maybe I misunderstood hidden gems. What are we talking about here?
Just like an under-the-radar song or video or something that you want someone to check out.
Oh, so could it be like any band at all?
Yeah, whatever. Yep.
Why don't you come back to me? I misunderstood, so I thought we were talking about like a...
No problem. All right, BB, what do you got?
All right. Hoover, don't get mad. Today, I was out in the yard after work. I was picking up some branches that fell over the yard and that, and I had the Hairball Johnny app in my ears, and they came up with South Gang. The song is called Tainted Angel. Very melodic, hair band sounding. It's almost like if Poison Warren and Heaven's Edge had a baby. it's called South Gang. But the song is called Tainted Angel, and if that's your wheelhouse, the song is really, really good. So check that out.
All right, very cool. Dave, what do you got for us, my friend?
I'm going to stick with the Dio theme, and I'm going to go with him. The song is called Mask of the Great Deceiver, which he sings on Kerry Livgren's Seeds of Change album with AD that he had made in '80. Now, I'll give you a little backstory to here. Kerry Livgren, and for you Kansas fans, was a Kansas band. Dust in the Wind, left Carry On Wayward Son, you name it. But he becomes a born-again Christian. He converts to Christianity in '79, and some of the songs that he's writing, really, if you watch the documentary, Steve Walsh just says, I can't sing these anymore. And so he goes and he starts his own thing. He leaves Kansas in '83, but he does this particular album where he just has a lot of hosts that are coming in and singing some stuff. And so Kerry Livgren had seen Ronnie James Dio, I believe, in Kansas. It was either Kansas or Texas, he says in the interview, singing with Elf. And he says, I want to have this guy sing on my album. So as he's making the album, the story goes, he calls him up. Dio's in London, flies in. He actually does 2 songs on this album. He does Mask of the Great Deceiver and To Live for the King, I believe it is. And they are just tremendous pieces of work. He didn't, from the story, he doesn't really know, they're kind of Christian songs. Dio doesn't know or really care. Livgren tells him that it's going to be a little different, and you just have to give a listen. The Mask of the Great Deceiver is just a great piece of work, and ironically, here you have the lead singer, the new lead singer of Black Sabbath, singing on a Christian album. It's a very interesting piece.
Awesome. You hear the thunder rumbling in the background, I think, if you listen to it real closely. All right, I'll go next. I'll give Hoover a little more time here. I'm going to pick out, actually, this album came out this year. It's a band we've talked about a little bit here and there. The band called Yorn, and it's spelled Jorn. And they had an album out a couple years ago. It was called Heavy Rock Radio. They do some kind of deeper cuts from bands. And actually, he has another tie-in. He has a Dio tribute album that's out there. So, and I'll give you that album name in a couple minutes. But this came out this year. It's got songs on Lonely Nights, New York Minute, Needles and Pins, Bad Attitude. And it actually has Mystery on there from Dio. So there's another tie-in there. And some of the songs on the first Yorn album, Heavy Rock Radio, does a kick-ass version of Hotel California. He does Black Sabbath's Die Young. He does a version, and these are like bonus tracks on this one as well. Ride Like the Wind he does. He does a version of Naked City from Kiss, which is like really kind of cool actually. So definitely check that out. It's Heavy Rock Radio 2 from Yorn, and it's Jorn. So like if you like to hear some cool covers of deep tracks, he's got some Dio, and he has a let me look real quick here. He has a Dio tribute album as well. Let me just look real quick here what it's called. It's actually just called Dio. And the songs he does on there, he does an original track that's called Song for Ronnie. He does Invisible, Shame on the Night, Push, Stand Up and Shout, Don't Talk to Strangers, Sacred Heart, Night People, Sunset Superman, Kill the King. So he does a lot of cool stuff. He's a huge Dio fan. And when they did the very first Dio tribute concert in Europe, he was the guy that they asked to be the main singer for that show. So he is very steeped in Ronnie James Dio lore, and he's a massive fan. And the guy did a song of all Dio, an album of all Dio songs. So definitely worth checking out. So check out Yorn Dio and check out Yorn Heavy Rock Radio 1 and 2. So there's some definitely interesting stuff, and he's got a ton of record albums of his own, and just under the Yorn name. So a lot of cool stuff. Great European like heavy metal, like not the crazy like Hammerfall type symphonic kind of stuff, but just like good straightforward European metal. More in the a little bit mellower than like someone like Accept. but it's very, very good, very well-produced stuff. All the European, I think all those bands like have awesome production on all their stuff. Bands like Heat and Eclipse and all that shit. So they're in the kind of vein of that, but just a little bit heavier. So definitely check them out. Okay, Hoover, what do you got for us? You find something, my friend?
Here's something. I've been talking about being stuck in the house the last 2 months. I've been going through my collection here. This is a band I first heard probably back in like 2000. I was camping up in Chocona, Pennsylvania, which is up off 267, just south of Vestal. And we always listened to KGB when we were up there. The old days of Tim Bolin in the afternoon. You guys probably still get KGB at your house up in Carbondale there. I don't get it here in Duryea. But anyway, I came across a CD last week, and I'm like, oh, I remember these guys because I heard it on KGB, and I bought it. They weren't played locally. Whatever the Bear or the X or 98 Rock was called that week, they weren't on it. But the Union Underground, and I don't know if you remember the single "Turn Me On, Mr. Deadman."
No.
You definitely got to check that out. They actually opened up for Ozzy at Ozfest in either 2000 or 2001. I saw them out in New Jersey on that tour, and they're absolutely fantastic. But I actually ended up listening to the album front to cover. An Education of Rebellion is their debut album that came out early 2000s. So I actually threw that on last week, and that's just one of those bands that came out. They kind of had a hit rock single, and then I never heard of them again. They may still be around. I don't know, but definitely the single "Turn Me On, Mr. Deadman," something to check out.
All right, very cool. So there's our hidden gems, you guys. Dave has Mask of the Great Deceiver. Hoover's got Union Underground from a song from the album Education of Rebellion. BB's Rockin' Little South Gang, Tainted Angel, and I have some Yorn going, some Heavy Rock Radio 1 and 2 and Dio album. So you guys check those gems out, and I definitely have to check. I have listened to the song that Dave put out. It's different. It's like listening to it. It's like a 7-minute song, but it's good. I didn't hate it. It was cool. Hey, anything that Dio sings on is cool. I thought it was a very interesting song for sure. South Gang, I've heard of them, but I've never heard them. Like I've heard the name a ton, but they're a band I just never got. I'm sure if BC was here, BC would be like, I had their cassette. You know what he would be? He'd be like, Rock's Gang. Rock. So definitely check them out. So that is it for our gems. So we'll zip back into our Dio discussion here, and we'll go with Hoover's list. Hoover, what do you got first?
All right, I'm going to run these down. And first off, to set the record straight, to me, a deep track is something that the average person on the street doesn't know. Working at the radio. So some of these songs I may mention may have had videos or had, maybe released as a single. But the reason I put this on, and you're going to say, well, hey, this had a great video to it. It was the first single off Dehumanizer, but TV Crimes. And it was a shame that these guys only played this song live just a few times. Mm-hmm. Even when Heaven and Hell got back together and they went out on tour, every time, I probably saw those two tours probably about 8 or 9 times, and every time, this is back in the MySpace days, I would hit the band up on MySpace. For the love of God, just play TV Crimes tonight. I will throw $100 on the stage. Just play TV. To me, it is one of my favorite all-time Dio songs. I had the opportunity to talk to Vinny Appice a few months ago. I don't know if you guys checked out that podcast, but I talked to him, and that was the big question I had to ask him. Why did you guys only play TV Crimes just a few times? And his answer was that Dio had a really, really tough time singing that song live.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So further down the list, I was born in the late 70s. My first Dio solo album was Dream Evil. So I have 2 songs off that album. One being All the Fools Sailed Away. Just absolutely fell in love with that song. That was the song my next door neighbor, he was probably about 10 years older than me. He said, "Oh, come on over and check this out." And he showed me the album, and I was just blown away. I mean, you got Murray on the cover, and the kid's sleeping in bed. And I was just blown away by the Dream Evil album. So All the Fools Sailed Away, and then Sunset Superman. I just think that has such a great hook to it. I absolutely love both those songs off that album. And then we're talking about earlier about seeing Dio at Tinks in '97, that Live Inferno album that came out, and I actually like the live version, Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost. I just think that album kicking off to that song is just amazing. And there's sometimes where I actually have to go back and listen to that song one more time before I actually get the whole live album started. I just want to hear that one again. We talked earlier about Rainbow, Catch the Rainbow, and that is just one of those songs where, like, you swear Dio should be singing for the Pope in Rome. He should be in a choir somewhere singing that. And it made me think about the, I know you guys probably aren't greatest hit collectors, but I do have the very best of Dio that probably came out in the late 90s. And you got to remember, this is pre-internet days, but if you guys own the album and has ever opened up the inside of the cover in the CD, it has a chart of where every band member of Rainbow came from. Including Dio, the Vegas Kings, 57 to 61, Ronnie Dio and the Prophets, Electric Elves, Elf 1, Elf 2, Rainbow 1, Rainbow 2, and the chart just goes crazy all over the place. It mentions Jeff Beck in the Cozy Powell years and all that other kind of stuff. Do you guys have that album, the very best of Rainbow on CD?
It's funny, Hoover. Steve is looking for that right. Oh, he's bringing something over.
This is Best of the Beast Volume 2. I'm looking for it. Keep going.
Well, if you guys are familiar with Kiss Alive 3, it's kind of like the same kind of diagram on the inside, and it's very, very cool to dig in and see where all these artists came about. And again, you have to remember, 1997, 1996, wherever that Greatest Hits album came out, this is really, like, you probably had AOL, but that information wasn't available online.
Right.
The way we discovered who played with who and what band was with what band was by coincidence. The reason I found out Dio sung with Black Sabbath is because I bought this Black Sabbath Live Evil album, and I came home and I'm like, wow, this doesn't sound like Ozzy. And I opened it up and I'm like, oh, Ronnie James Dio. Oh, I have that Dream Evil album.
Right.
And it just that's how the world unfolded. And as a teenager and a young adult growing up, that was some really, really cool shit. Just learning and being amazed about where bands came from and who played with who. And you got guys like Dio, who played in all these bands, and then you come across a guy like Rudy Sarzo, who played with 55,000 bands, and it's like it's like a wormhole. You get sucked down into it. It's like just amazing. And that's my list, man.
All right, great. I could not find that CD. It's probably, I know I have it, but I'm in the process.
You're only looking at probably about 6,000 CDs here, so it may take a while.
I know. I finally got most of my shit together, but I don't have anything organized. I'm
going to tell you what, and the reason I bought the CD was because Jealous Lover was a B-side, and it was on the Greatest Hits album. And at this time, I had a lot of Rainbow albums, but the reason I bought that was because of Jealous Lover being a B-side. And you always have that band that burns you. They throw that obscure song somewhere where you have to go out and buy an album. It's like Tom Petty's Greatest Hits. It's like, I have all these songs, but I got to buy the Greatest Hits and get Mary Jane's Last Dance. All right, Mr. Nardone, here's my $59. Thanks for letting me have this one song.
Yeah, for sure. They always do that, but it's you don't mind though, because the Greatest Hits CDs. I was not a fan of Greatest Hits CDs for the longest time, but then I'm like, you know what? It saves me the trouble sometimes of just fucking making my own mix thing. You just throw it in and let it play. And so I definitely do that.
I go back to earlier, like, I buy stuff just because I want to complete the collection. I was talking about how I listened to the entire Doors catalog. Now, I listened to the 6 studio albums, but from where I could see here, the Doors take up a good 5, maybe 4.5 feet on the wall here, because it's all the greatest hits and live albums and everything else. You buy it just because you have to have it. Oh, look, Break On Through is song number 2 instead of song number 1. I got to buy this different version of the greatest hits. I got to take that home.
Oh, that's funny because it's funny.
Yeah, for sure. Because and there's and you could do that for a ton of bands that are out there, and especially bands that are no longer out. Like Dio is unfortunately passed away, and now all this other stuff is resurfacing now, and you got to buy it. You have to complete your collection for sure.
And the other thing that burns me too, and we're talking about the Dio remasters earlier. Like I have the earlier remasters of, like Sacred Heart and Holy Diver and stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I don't throw away my original copy that I have. It seems like I still need that. It's like hey, I got one of the original copies. I want to hold on to this. It's the same thing like with bands with Motley Crue. They went from Elektra Records to Motley Records, and then they released a box set, Music to Crash Your Cars too. And I'm like, I have all these songs like on 5 different album collections, but I won't get rid of them all because I want them. And then all the remasters like Girls, Girls, Girls and Dr. Feelgood came out, and then then another Dr. Feelgood came out, and I'm like, I gotta buy that too. There's really nothing new on it, but it's different artwork, it's different layout, and it's the insanity of it. Just take my money. Like the White Lion box set's coming out in a couple of weeks. It's like, just take my money. Just take my money.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Now you're costing me money here now, Hoover. I'm gonna have to get that myself. And speaking to the crew, when they did the remasters, the Girls, 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 you have the instrumental of Wild Side on there. Like, come on, I gotta have that. I mean,
that was on the box set. That was also on a Crucial Crew. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
that came out. It was like Crucial Crew, Demons and B-Sides or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of the album. That was on there, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, and they do shit for guys like us because they know you're gonna buy it. God damn it! Now you're gonna have to get White Lion. Fuck. And it's funny because someone was just putting stuff about White Lion on Facebook today, and I saw that, and they had the Pride album, and I absolutely love Lady of the Valley on that. That's like my all-time favorite White Lion song. Anyway, I'll do my deal list now because it's amazing too with all these bands. You could just jump down that rabbit hole, and there's so much stuff out there to find. I was going to say shit, but it's not shit, but you catch my meaning. But it's just crazy just how much stuff that is out there from everybody, especially these bands that are defunct or someone has passed away. It's crazy just like the stuff that gets out there. All right, my list, no particular order here. I'm going to do I picked Another Day from Sacred Heart. I love the choppy guitar at the beginning of that. The bass sound is excellent. It's got that grinding, palm muted grindage for the verses, and then it picks up for the a little bit for the chorus there. The bass just sounds so good on that song, and I think Sacred Heart is an extremely underrated album. And of course you get Last in Line and you get Holy Diver, the Cadillacs of the Dio collection, but Sacred Heart's no slouch, so I love that. The vocals are great in that. Then I went to Hey Angel from Lock Up the Wolves. Rowan Robertson on guitar in that. The bass is great in that. I like how this song, if you listen to it, this song has a lot of room to breathe. It starts out at the beginning, but then like when you think he would start singing, it just goes into a little bit of a longer part, and the song just has like so much room to breathe, and I think it's a very well put together song. And like his vocals are kind of soft to start, and then he goes to tell me. I love that. The chorus is great, and I like it too because even like how I said that song breathes in the beginning, it also does right before the solo as well. It's just such a well put together song, and the solo is not like a total shredding solo like an Yngwie type thing. It's totally serves the song, and Rowan Robertson just hit it out of the park on that one. I picked Better in the Dark from Killing the Dragon, straight up rocker, Doug Aldrich, kick ass. I love the cadence, how Dio sings it in the verses. It's got some cool vocal effects at different parts during the thing. The bass sound is great. The part leading into the solo is really cool. And Doug just like absolutely shreds. And actually, when I read BC's list, this song is a crossover from his list and my list. So I'm going to talk about the solo a little bit there because he said, please make sure you talk about the solo in this song. There's a kick-ass freaking keyboard part in this song. It's just absolutely amazing. But then the solo, it's it goes with the tempo of the song, but then it kicks up towards the end of the song, and Doug does this freaking shredding part that is just absolutely amazing. totally fits the song. The tempo kicks up, and so does he. Just absolutely love it. And that was one that BC and I were like, you know what, we're keeping these songs. Even though they're crossover songs, we don't give a shit. The next song I picked is Lady Evil, one of the tracks from Heaven and Hell. Absolutely one of my favorite Dio songs from any era. I love this version, though. I picked the one from the Live at the Radio City Music Hall CD. Geezer Butlers, listening to the bass in that song, oh my god, it just like boots your ass down the freaking street. Just absolutely love it. Tony Iommi's guitar sound in that, I can only imagine. I got to see them in Heaven and Hell up in Binghamton with, I think it was Alice Cooper and Queensryche, I think. And
yes.
It was just an amazing show, and I'm like, oh my god, like here's... And I'm so glad that also that when they did the Heaven and Hell stuff, that they called it Heaven and Hell and not Black Sabbath. I liked that they did that, because then you didn't have to worry about playing Iron Man, which if I hear that song again, I'm going to blow my fucking brains out. You didn't have to worry about doing that. So you had the stuff from the Heaven and Hell album. And even before that, when they played, you had just the Dio era stuff. So you're playing, you're playing stuff from Heaven and Hell, from Mob Rules, from Dehumanizer, and Mark, I would have loved to absolutely see them do TV Crimes, because that would have been freaking fantastic. And BB picked I on his list. Yeah.
Great
love
tune.
that, freaking love it. Just an amazing song. And people that dismiss the Dio era of Black Sabbath, they just don't know what they're missing. They really do not know what they're missing. Then I picked kind of an offshoot here for my next song. I picked a song from a tribute album. Dio sings on Welcome to My Nightmare from the Humanary Stew album. It's an Alice Cooper tribute band tribute album. And here's who plays on the song. Ronnie James Dio is on vocals. Bruce Kulick and Steve Lukather are the lead guitar players on this. Phil Sassoon on bass. Paul Taylor from Winger plays keyboards, and Randy Castillo plays drums. This is an absolutely amazing version of this song. Dio sings this song. He puts so many different little inflections and stuff in the vocals. Like, every time I hear this song from now on, I hear Dio singing it, not Alice Cooper. And the guitar work in this song between Bruce and Steve Lukather, and Steve Lukather is absolutely an amazing guitar player, and these solos in this song just absolutely kick ass. And like Dio, I heard this song, I got freaking chills listening to it. I just absolutely fucking love it. And my last song I picked, which I think it's a shame that this song is not a pinnacle song in the Dio/Rainbow catalog, or whatever you want to call it. A Light in Black from Rainbow Rising. I know Stargazer is the song that gets all the accolades and everything from that album, but I think A Light in Black is so much better. I mean, I know you have the kind of mystical sound and shit on Stargazer, but A Light in Black is just, it's like Kill the King on fucking steroids. You got Cozy Powell on drums, Bob Daisley on bass, David Stone on keyboards. Him I don't really know too much. Richie Blackmore on guitar. Just absolutely phenomenal. It's like a 8 minute and 12 second song. But I'll tell you what, this song goes by and it doesn't even seem half that long. There's an amazing keyboard solo in it. Richie Blackmore's guitar solo is just freaking unbelievable. Cozy Powell is just double bass heaven. And this was at the time when this came out. I think it came out in 75 or 76.
76.
And you did not have a lot of drummers doing a lot of double bass work in albums and stuff. You had I think you had maybe had some Ian Pace doing that stuff, but like, listen to this album for 1976. There is some really advanced playing. Like, I think this Rainbow Rising album was like way ahead of its time when that came out, and I think maybe that's why A Light in Black doesn't get the spotlight that Stargazer gets. But for me, this song blows Stargazer away. And if all the times I've seen Dio, if he ever did A Light in Black, I think you'd be cracking the smelling salts and putting them under my nose in my seat. So that's my list. And Dave, what do you think of our lists?
I'll pick up where you left off on the Rainbow Rising album. I think we've talked about this, until really the modern era, when you're talking about this and put out in the 70s. This album was hailed at the time as being one of the greatest rock albums of all time. and held that sway for a long time. And it's because that great chemistry that they all have, amongst the members. That's other than Dio on vocals with Blackmore, it's just a great combination. As far as lightened in black. Let me think here. I'm going back to your list here. Lady Evil, man, what could you say about that album? I have to agree with you 1,000%. Anybody who thinks or at least dismisses Dio in lieu of Ozzy, not to take anything away from him, but anybody that dismisses that, boy, they are missing out. Because that whole album, from Neon Nights all the way through, that's the one that grabs you. That's the hook. Welcome to my nightmare. Steve Lukather, I mean, he's the man. When I think of him, I think of trying to be a guitar player in the 80s. And when you had the guitar magazines, like Circus Magazine, he had all of those, like how to do a lead solo and stuff like that. And it's like, who the hell is this guy? Because I didn't know him at the time when I was a teenager. But, man, I have certainly grown up to appreciate him. And that's something very interesting. Lock Up the Wolves with Hey Angel. I enjoy that one very much as well. For me, Rowan's doing a lot of the writing and stuff, and I think we had said this when we talked about guitar players. The one thing about Dio, especially in the Dio, let's say, post Vivian Campbell days, is that every singing style that he has really matches the guitar player that he's with. Whether it's Goldie, whether it's Tracy G, whether it's Aldrich, no matter who it is, whether it's Vivian Campbell, whomever, he always matches that style, and that's something that a lot of singers cannot do. So I love the list, Steve. It's always wonderful. And Sacred Heart, I agree too. Definitely underrated. I missed that tour. I was going to Keystone College at the time, and I missed that one that summer. That's a bummer.
Yeah, nice. All right, I will go. I'll talk. Steve's list, definitely a couple highlights for me. A Light and a Black. I love the dueling back and forth solo between Blackmore and Tony Carey on keyboards. It's just so cool. Especially all the way back then, the way these guys are just making music. Fantastic. And another one I really enjoyed was Just Another Day. It's just a fast, right out of the box. It's almost like it has almost like a thrashy sound to it. A little bit of distortion they're playing. But yeah, great list, Steve. Hoover, let me tell you, Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost. Oh my God, that opening track on Strange Highway is amazing. Yeah. Tracy G is so fucking underrated. And Dio, I'm just sitting here as Dave's running like Rowan Robertson and Doug Aldridge, and now we're talking about Tracy G. Like Dio was like Ozzy. Always kind of sucked in the really good guitar players. Between Ozzy with Zach and Randy Rhoads and Jakey Lee, and now we're talking about Dio's guitar players. They're almost neck and neck with just being so close and so like blown away by these guitar players. But that opening track is so good, and that riff that he starts, and then there's like that little bit of pause that he does. And then Vinny comes in on drums. Love that part. And how can you not talk about TV Crimes? Singing fast tempo throughout. It almost reminds me it's like a leftover from Mob Rules. Like it has that Mob Rules grit to it. But yeah, both of your lists, fantastic. And it's Dio. How can it not be bad? Sorry, Hoover, go ahead.
I was about to say on TV Crimes, to me, I think Geezer and Vinny are just they're just there. They found it. Whatever needed to happen, those two, Geezer and Vinny on that song, TV Crimes, they're in the pocket that entire song, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, they're locked in for sure. And actually, before we go, BB brought it to my attention, and it's weird because I was looking to see who played on Light and Black. And for some reason, like an idiot, I grabbed the Long Live Rock and Roll album, and it's not David Stone, it's Tony Carey that plays keyboards on that, on Rainbow Rising. So I just wanted to be correct about that. Thanks, BB, because I don't know why why did the fuck did I grab that album? I don't know, because Rainbow Rising is right next to it. My vinyl is actually one thing that I do have organized. And before we go to what Hoover thinks about my list, Dave, what do you think about Hoover's list? You didn't go over his.
Oh yeah, Hoover, I apologize. TV Crimes, again, Dehumanizer is just a super underrated album, without a doubt. Catch the Rainbow, again, we're everybody's on the same page with that Rainbow deal. Sunset Superman, we talked about that a long time ago. Guitar-wise, oh my goodness. That's my favorite on that album, off of Dream Evil, without a doubt. And Jesus Marrying the Holy Ghost, when I listened to that, when I saw that, that made me go back and revisit Strange Highways again. I thought, holy smokes, I'm missing out. So I'm going to actually delve back into that album again, just from that suggestion. So I thank you for bringing that up, Hoover. That's going to be a nice one. Tremendous list.
All right. And Hoover, what'd you think about mine, my friend?
I tell you what, you can't go wrong with anything off of Rainbow Rising. I mean, from Terror Woman, like that whole album is just amazing, start to finish. I think one of probably my favorite Rainbow Dio albums, absolutely. Sacred Heart. If you notice, I didn't have any Vivian Campbell on my list. I kind of have a grudge against that guy. I met him twice. I tried to pull it on him to get him to sign a Dio album at a Def Leppard show backstage, and both times he rejected me. He told me he wasn't going to sign that.
Really?
So yes, and so I left Vivian purposely off my list. Of course, you go to Lock Up the Wolves, which is an amazing album. One of the first albums I got from either BMG or Columbia House. That's how I got that album. I think either I signed up my grandmother or my neighbor.
Yeah, they're still looking for your money too.
Yeah, they are. I'll send them a penny in the mail. They're probably bankrupt by now. You talked about Lady Evil, but you talked about the live version. To me, Bill Ward had such a swing on that Heaven and Hell album. I just think that Vinny never was able to replace the sound that Bill Ward laid down on that first Black Sabbath album. Bill Ward was just such a unique drummer, and I think Vinny just never captured what Bill was able to do on that album. But Lady Evil, one of my favorite Black Sabbath Dio songs, and Welcome to My Nightmare. I haven't heard that in a long time, so I'm going to have to go check that out. Hopefully, it's sitting somewhere on Spotify.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on there. Cool. All right, cool. Thanks. I'll go over Hoover's list here real quick. Oh, TV Crimes. We talked about that. Dehumanizer. Such a underrated album. It's fantastic because we did an episode. I think it was one of the albums we did an episode of albums that people haven't really heard, and I think that was BB's pick. And it was, and at that point I hadn't heard that album in a long time, and I was like, good goddamn pick. That is a freaking great album. TV Crimes is fucking excellent. And
I have 3 versions of that album if anybody wants to borrow one.
Oh, really? Right now I only have the original CD, so I have to get the deluxe version as well. So I
got the CD, and then a couple years later they came out with the CD with the Wayne's World with the extra track of Time Machine.
Have you seen this boy?
So I bought that, and of course, when the deluxe edition came out a couple years ago, I had to buy it again, and so now I got 3 versions now.
Okay, you got to get them all. You definitely got to get them all. All the Fools sailed away from Dream Evil. Dream Evil, another extremely underrated album. So, like, you guys out there, if you are only familiar with Last in Line and
Holy
Diver,
yeah.
Please dig deeper because there is some kick-ass shit out there. All the Fools Sailed Away, one of Dio's best vocal performances, just like ton of feeling in that song, freaking great. Sunset Superman, absolutely fucking love it. The drums, it's kind of like We Will Rock You.
Yes, it is, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's better than the Queen song.
And you got to remember that album was actually produced by Dio.
Yeah. Just great. Jesus Marrying the Holy Ghost. That's like just, and you're right about the live version. It blows your head off. And I was so glad that we were able to actually get to see them do that live. Freaking great. Catch the Rainbow. And actually, Catch the Rainbow, the studio version I'm not a huge fan of, but like hear him do that live, because actually I'm going to talk about BC's list in a minute here. I'll talk about that then. I'll just leave that one go for now. In Wild One, from Lock Up the Wolves, Rowan Robertson, freaking fantastic. And we talked about that song a little bit in depth on the. We had Dave on we had an episode talking about Dio's guitar players. We went through all the guitar players, like in just the Dio era. We didn't do Tony Iommi, we didn't do Elf stuff. We didn't do Rainbow, but Rowan Robertson, friggin' fantastic. He's now one of the guitar players in DC4, so check those guys out too.
Is he not in Big Tango anymore?
He still plays with them live, and also he's one of the guitar players for Billy Ray Cyrus's band as well. Because I remember turning on Good Morning America one day, and Billy Ray Cyrus was on there, and Rowan Robertson was his fucking guitar player. I was like, holy shit! Yeah.
Is it too late? Is it too late to take him off my list?
It's not. Hey, the dude's got to put food on the table, man.
I hear you.
He is slouch playing lead in country music anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'd rather send him MREs in the mail.
And it's weird because he played live with Bang Tango at M3, the one BB was talking about before, and Wright B. And I told this on another episode. We were at M3 that year, and I was walking up the thing, and a guy walked by me, and I'm like, holy fuck, he looks like Rowan Robertson. And I'm thinking, no, why would he be here?
Yeah.
And then like an hour later, he's on stage with fucking Bang Tango. I'm like, motherfucker, I could have got a picture taken with him. So, but Rowan Robertson is freaking phenomenal. Wild One is a fantastic song. Absolutely love it. Great list, Hoover. Just excellent. All right, I'm going to get into BC's list now. He picked up Night People from Dream Evil. Just a really good song. Freaking excellent. Double Monday from Angry Machines. Better in the Dark from Killing the Dragon. I talked about that on our... on my list. That was a song that we had together, which was great. He also picked up Scream from Killing the Dragon as well. I'm losing my mind here. And Why Are You Watching Me, he did from Lock Up the Wolves, which is a song I totally kind of, dismissed because it's towards the end of the album. But I'll tell you what, I put that on. BC, great freaking pick. Excellent. And then he did the version of Mistreated and Catch the Rainbow from the Inferno Lastin' Live album, which Mark was talking about. Hoover was talking about that a couple minutes ago. Just one
of my favorite live albums.
It's great, and actually I just dug that CD out today because I hadn't heard that in a long time, and wow, and I said before I wasn't a huge fan of the studio version of Catch the Rainbow, but listen to him do it live. The feeling he puts into that on this version. Like, I was, just blown away. I totally forgot. I listened to the studio version because actually Dave and Hoover picked it. Oh, go ahead.
You only get like a minute and a half of it on that album.
You do, but you know what? It really brings it home to me, like, how good of a song, and, just the vocals in that is just freaking fantastic. And BC he had a great list, and the last song he picked was Wild One from Lock Up the Wolves. Rowan Robertson, freaking excellent guitar player. Great pick, opening song on the album Lock Up the Wolves. That's great. I think everybody had a freaking awesome list here. Did anybody not talk about anybody's list? I think we got everybody, right?
I think
we're good.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna be wrapping up here soon. We'll go around the table here. Everybody can plug their band, plug their radio station, plug their podcasts, and whatever else you got going on. And we will wrap up. We will start with Dave.
I have nothing to plug other than stay safe, shop local. That's what I'm going to say. Shop local, stay safe, keep listening to music. And when it comes time that you can get back out there, get out there and support your live and local music, because there's a lot of good things out there that you are missing.
And go support Blue London. You were supposed to say that, Dave.
Hey, you don't have to support me.
When Blue London gets back on the road, go check them out for sure.
Support the kids.
That's true. That's true. Like I said, Dave's like the Partridge Family up there.
They're doing things.
Absolutely. BB, what do you got?
Once again, great episode. I love digging back into the Dio history of the shit he made. It was just so phenomenal. Like I said before, how he always kind of got that great guitar player and kind of built his band around that. But once again, Dave, thank you for coming on, Hoover. Finally, thank you. It's about time we got you on the podcast. It was an honor. And Really, though, too bad BC wasn't here. But great topic. I hope everybody out there enjoys this, and I'm really going to enjoy when Dylan makes his Spotify playlist. That will be on the show notes after this is released. It will be fantastic.
All right, cool. Hoover, how about you, my friend?
I want to thank you guys for having me on. I have my own podcast called Rock This Way. If you guys are willing to trade me, I'd be willing to drop that, because the guy I talk with, he's a Grateful Dead head. I can't take it anymore, so I'd be happy to join your boat. 10-year anniversary this year, Dio, this month. It's just absolutely crazy. I remember being on the air when it happened, and it just blew my mind. And some of the songs I played that day was Man on the Silver Mountain. I played Holy Diver and A Rainbow in the Dark, and of course I work at a radio station, so I got to keep it super tight and super hits,
Right.
But it just it was a major bummer when he passed away, and then just a few years ago when we had Jimmy Bain pass away, that was another bummer as well. Dio, I mean, I've seen him live so many times with a Black Sabbath and Dehumanizer tour, a few times solo, and then I think 5 times in the Heaven and Hell tour. I mean, Dio means a lot to me, and I'm so honored and thankful that you guys invited me for this podcast today.
All right, thank you, Hoover. And me and BB are totally kicking ourselves in the ass, because we actually wanted to do this episode because the 10th year anniversary of Dio passing away is coming up, and it actually will be
the 16th.
Is it the 16th?
Yep.
Okay, and it'll be right, between episodes. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to do this. Hoover, thank you for coming on. Glad we finally got you to come on here. You're a great guy. You have absolutely hooked us up for concerts and stuff like that, and just a really cool guy. So check out Hoover on Rock 107. You could check it out on the app. You could check them out online. He does a Big Hair Happy Hour every Friday at 5. So I've been rocking to that, and it sucks for me because I can't really join in every week because every third Friday I'm working. So when I'm not working, I'm cracking a beer with Hoover and BB and my buddy Jeff Dombrowski that is on there all the time. He's a classmate of mine, good guy. He's always on there, I see.
And a Tesla freak.
Yeah, he's a massive Tesla freak. And actually,
have you guys done a Tesla episode yet?
Not a full Tesla episode.
Well, we got to get Jeff on that, and we'll get a full Tesla episode one of these days.
Definitely.
We can, but if we get Jeff on there, maybe 6 hours long, so we may have to do a 3-part thing for sure. Maybe we'll give each guy a Tesla album to talk about or something like that. But Jeff is a really good guy. Like I said, one of my classmates. And hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy? And so definitely check out Hoover on Rock 107. That's WEZX Rock 107. There's an app out there, and that's what I listen to it on live, streaming through my phone into my stereo. And Dave, always a pleasure having you on here. I love your insights, your I don't even know if this is a word, your well-spokenness. It's just always fun having it. Dave's got it, and and like I said on our last episode, and actually, if you go back in our archives, episode 69 was the last time we did the Dio guitar player episode. Dave was on, and we had a great conversation. We talked about all the Dio guitar players. Always great having Dave on. We had Dave on for our 70s stuff last year. Always a great insight. And once all shit gets going again, people here in northeastern Pennsylvania, look for Blue London. They're a great band, classic rock. Just they do a lot of acoustic stuff as well. It's Dave and his wife Joan. Hi, Joan. And although she won't do any Iron Maiden for me. Come on, Joan.
She will not. Been asked me.
I know.
Will not do it.
I know.
She can't get her.
Terrible. Okay, so once again, Hoover and Dave, thank you for coming on. BB, I'm glad we could finally record in the same room again.
Yes.
We miss Dylan, we miss BB, and but when you hear this finished product, it will still be Dylan editing it, so it won't be terrible like if I would do it, because it would be like a fucking Chainsaw Massacre if I edited this episode. So BB, I'll give you a cheers here, my friend.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers to Hoover and to Dave. Thanks, guys. I hope everybody's staying safe and sane out there, doing their social distancing, washing your hands, all that shit that everybody's talking about 24/7. I hope that this is a good diversion for everybody from that stuff. It's just, I'm sure everybody's getting sick of this shit. So, just use this.
Why? What happened? What happened?
What happened? Nothing. The Rock 107 just didn't want you in the fucking building anymore. They just wanted you to.
They're slowly booting you out.
That's right.
Hey, I need my Dio bootleg from Tinks. It's sitting in my desk somewhere. I haven't
You
been
get
there
to
in a
pick
month. I
two
have to
things,
grab
and
it
that's
now.
one. Then you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope everybody's like staying sane out there. I am. I'm actually enjoying the little laps and being out there. So and like Dave said, buy local. Once all this stuff goes, we're able to go back out into public and shit like that. Support your local businesses. Go to your local diner. Go to your local, shop or whatever. Buy local. Get these guys back in business. And
Support your local radio station. There's only 2 of them in the valley.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you want the good one, listen to Rock 107 WEZX.
Time Shamrock, and we have Alt 92.1 and ESPN Radio, but also the wonderful folks at Bold Gold Media have they're locally owned and operated as well. The rest of them, national conglomerates. Do what you want to do with them.
Thank you.
Listen, Hoover. Hey, Hoover. By the way, when are you on the air? Give us a time so people could hear you.
Right now, Monday through Sunday, 3 to 7, because just the way things are, we had to change some schedules around and stuff like that, and just to keep some of the part-timers from coming into the studio on the weekend. It was tough trying to get everybody hooked up with a home studio. So some of the part-timers like Ron Reno and stuff like that, we had to tell them, hey, we want everybody to be safe, stay at home. We'll handle it from our homes and stuff like that. So right now, Monday through Sunday, 3 to 7, until this is over.
All right, So check out Hoover and Rock 107.
Support Dio out of you from 3 to 7.
I'll play some Dio on Friday at 5 o'clock for you.
Yeah.
All right.
There you
Absolutely appreciate it. And
Have you ever heard that Rainbow in the Dark song?
Is it new?
Dark.
That's a B-side, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, awesome. So check out Hoover on Rock 107, 3 to 7 every day, and check out the Big Hair Happy Hour every Friday at 5 to 6. And hopefully, Hoover, as it gets warmer out, you will be doing it a little longer, which would be cool.
I was going to do it this past Friday, but they were calling for thunderstorms.
Shitty.
I know.
And then it never happened.
Every Friday's been crappy, pretty much every time since you started this thing. So I would be happy to do it every night.
Start drinking at 5 every night.
Now that I don't have happy hour every night here, anyways. So,
Well, I tell you what, every Saturday night I spend in my garage with Dee Snyder's House of Hair.
Yes.
And I don't mean to pump the competition, but there's a lot of times I spend my Monday nights in the garage listening to the Eddie Trunk replay on Sirius XM Volume 106. I don't know if you guys listen to that show.
Yeah. He. I'll tell you what. He gets some good guests, some interviews on there. Definitely. I guess Ace Frehley was just on there a week ago or so.
Yep.
So definitely, there's some good stuff out there. And
we gotta get Eddie on this podcast one of these days.
Yeah, we might be a little small fry for Eddie, but
we'll get Eddie. I'd have Eddie on my show a couple of times. We'll get Eddie on.
okay, maybe we can do that. That'd be cool. All right, my buddies at the Shout Out Loud cast would absolutely fucking love that. So we could definitely do that. And he and I met him a couple times. I
Super nice.
Some people hate him or whatever. I personally, the times I've met him, he was cool to me. And I go how people treat me, and he's always treated me well. And would stop and have a conversation. You can't talk to him for an hour whenever you see him, but he would chit chat and not blow you off. So like I said, I've never had any problems with him. He's always treated me well.
Listen, I'll break it down for you. A lot of people think that Eddie's a name dropper and he's arrogant, but if you get married and Ace Frehley's at your wedding, I'd be a name dropper too.
Oh fuck yeah,
True, yeah.
yeah, for sure,
No doubt
Definitely.
about it.
So
We're in the world of rock and roll. We talk about the people we met and the people we know, and that's what it's all about.
Sure.
Yeah,
Even the
that's-
time we went to that metal show.
yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You signed some shit and you took our picture and bullshitted. And
yeah, we hit a good one too. We saw Ted Nugent, so it was fucking awesome. And it's amazing too. And actually, and we've done it a couple times, and we do it all the time on the show here. Just you talk about one little thing, and you're off on a tangent for 20 minutes. But like that's the cool thing I think about the music that we listen to. You could, one thing leads to another that leads to 10 other things down the road. So it's always a continuing conversation. And we talked about we were talking about Dio, and we ended up talking about Tesla, and you end up talking about a ton of other bands. And you bring up someone's name, and it brings up 10 other things. It's just amazing. And that's one of the reasons we like doing the podcast. Is just keeps going.
It's what hard rock and metal is about. It's about experiences and just the memories. I talked about the Union Underground and hearing about it on KGB for the first time back in like 2000. Like when I grabbed that CD last week, and that's the memories that popped into my head.
Absolutely. You got to love it. It's just, it's an ongoing thing, and I hope everybody out there, email us, potterthanhellpodcast@gmail.com. Give us your story. If you want us to talk about something, or you have a topic for a show, or you'd like to be on the show with us, we're more than open to doing that, and having different people on here, different topics and stuff like that. And
or use that email to sign up for a credit card. It's all good.
Yeah, sure. Why not? And use this Social Security number. The name is Mark Hoover, Hoover, and here's the number. But you can still use that email address. So I want to say, everybody out there, stay safe and be cool. Enjoy this downtime if you have it. If you're out there working, stay safe. Hope you and your families are safe and everyone is staying healthy. Wash your hands, social distance, wear your mask, and we will see you next time. And there definitely will be a next time.